over in California, the place I left, things don't seem to be getting much better anytime soon. Now, one of the reasons I left California, many of the reasons I left California are implicit in the news that comes out of the place absolutely daily. I left California for Florida, so I am biased in this matter, but it appears to me on a national level, one of the things that we are going to be deciding in the very near future is whether California is the future of the United States or whether Florida is the future of the United States. And these futures look unbelievably different. In California, the solution for every single problem is more government. It is more government. It is more government interventionism. It is more encroachments upon your economic rights. It is more left-wing indoctrination of your children. That is always the answer. And in Florida, the answer seems to be more local control, more leaving parents to their own devices, more of the state allowing you to bring up your children in the way that is traditionally fit in the United States. And this is the real gap that is emerging in American public life. This is why the solution in the end may be that California is going to get to be California and Florida is going to get to be Florida and federalism rules the day. But until that point, the incipient conflict that is building up at a national level is whether the entire nation is going to move more toward Florida or whether it is going to move more toward California. So we begin in California. In California, there have been 2 mass shootings over the course of the last 72 hours. There's another mass shooting in Half Moon Bay, apparently, over the course of the last 48. The Washington Post reports the suspect accused of killing 7 people at 2 farms was believed to be a co-worker of the victims, officials said on Tuesday, describing the attack as workplace violence. Details about what happened on Monday were slow to emerge as authorities worked to reach the victims' families and to further investigate ahead of a planned Wednesday arraignment for the suspect, who happens to be a 66-year-old who engaged in this shooting. That is a very elderly mass shooter. Typically, mass shooters tend to be in the 17 to 22 range. They don't tend to be in the 60-plus range, but we have been seeing a rising number of bizarre mass shootings involving much older people, ranging from the Las Vegas shooting to the shooting that happened a little bit earlier this week in California to this shooting in Half Moon Bay. Apparently, according to the Washington Post, there have been nearly 40 mass shootings so far this year. We only focus on a certain number of them, obviously. The media tend to focus on the more spectacular shootings, the one that kill more people at one shot, and don't happen to be linked to gang violence. The reality is that shootings in the United States tend to be linked overwhelmingly to either interpersonal disputes or gang violence. Most of the most spectacular shootings that you see on the news are statistical anomalies. That doesn't mean that they're not acts of tremendous evil. It doesn't mean they're not important. It doesn't mean we shouldn't address them. But the media tend to focus in on these anomalous actions as opposed to the more run-of-the-mill shootings, because if you were to look at the run-of-the-mill shootings, it might represent a different set of policy prescriptions. According to the Washington Post, on January 21st, a shooter opened fire on the eve of Lunar New Year at a dance studio in Monterey Park, a majority Asian Los Angeles suburb, killing 11. 2 days later, related shootings at 2 locations around Half Moon Bay near San Francisco killed 7 people as well. There have been already 39 mass shootings in 2023 in the United States, according to the Gun Violence Archive. There have been more shootings than any other January on the database's record, which go back to 2014. Mass shootings, where 4 or more people, not including the shooter, are injured or killed, have averaged more than 1 per day in 2023. Every week has had at least 6 mass shootings. Again, a lot of folks have been claiming that this has to do with the prevalence of guns in the United States, but it's hard to make that link considering what's happening in California. And here is the rule. If there is a mass shooting that cannot be explained by white supremacy or right-wing rhetoric, it immediately turns into a gun control narrative. We don't bother to look into the motive. We don't bother to look into any other factor. We don't look into mental illness. That's because the media have a stake in the gun control narrative, which is why you have articles like the one from Eugene Robinson over at the Washington Post in response to shootings in California, one of the more gun-controlled states in America. Eugene Robinson says the only way to stop senseless mass shootings, you know the answer. The answer, of course, is the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun. The common factor always is the gun. There's one way the mass shooting Saturday in Monterey Park, California could have been prevented. One way that all mass shootings and individual shootings and gun suicides can be prevented: keep deadly firearms out of the hands of those who would use them to kill. Okay, well, the problem is you don't know who would use them to kill all the time. We all agree. People who are irresponsible with guns, if there were a way to weed them out, no one would want those people to own guns. If there were a way to weed out people who are mentally ill, it would be great to weed out people who are violently mentally ill from owning a gun. We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, I got to tell you, very often when I'm traveling, I tend to come down with a sore throat. It's a source of great annoyance to me. And so what I try to do before I travel is I talk to an ear, nose, and throat person. And they will give me a prescription. I'll say, if you come down with something for the throat, you need to go get yourself a steroids prescription. I'll write it up for you now in case I'm out of town. You can always fill the prescription afterward. Well, what if you could do that with antibiotics, right? Some of the most common medications that are out there, because God forbid there's some sort of natural emergency. You got to make sure that you have the medicines on hand that you need I mean, very often we end up doing this ourselves anyway, right? You end up going like digging through your medicine cabinet in order to find the thing that you need from like 2 years ago. That's not the way this should be done. Instead, you need Jace Medical. My new partners at Jace Medical help you get a long-term supply of prescription medication. Their mission is to empower you to be better medically prepared. A great way to start preparing is with the Jace case. It's a pack of 5 different courses of antibiotics you can use to treat a whole host of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, and more. All you have to do is fill out a simple online form. In some cases, jump on a quick call with one of their board-certified physicians. From there, you can ask your physician treatment-related questions on an ongoing basis. The Jace case, it gives me peace of mind because I've got the medicines that I need just in my house, and I've got them there waiting for me. I want you to be prepared for anything the same way I am. Go to jacemedical.com. That's J-A-S-E medical.com. Enter code Ben at checkout for $10 off your order. That's jacemedical.com. Promo code Ben. Make sure that you are prepared for the worst. God forbid another emergency happens. You got to make sure that you have everything you need. jacemedical.com, promo code Ben. You know what's really rough? How many fruits and vegetables you have to eat during the day. I know it's not kind of politically correct to say that. People are like, oh, I love salad. Liar, you don't. Or people are like, you know what I love? I love just walking around chomping fruit all day. No, you don't. Instead, you just want the nutrition that you get from all that stuff, correct? This is why I'm a huge fan of Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies are the best way to make sure you are getting essential nutritional ingredients every single day. Their products are 100% whole food. Balance of Nature uses a cold vacuum process that preserves the natural phytonutrients in whole fruits and vegetables and encapsulates them for easy consumption. Balance of Nature sent a bunch of their product down to the studio for my team to try. We've passed it out. Everybody's energy is higher. They look healthier. I feel healthier. I've been taking it. When you are disciplined enough to take care of your health, you reap all sorts of benefits. We're talking more energy, less fatigue, better focus. Consuming the right balance of fruits and veggies every day is an important first step. So head on over to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Shapiro for $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com. Promo code Shapiro for $25 off your first preferred order. Balanceofnature.com. Promo code Shapiro. Saying the gun is the major factor in violence is sort of like saying that money is the major factor in embezzlement. Yes, it is a vital tool for achieving the crime, but also it happens to be used for a lot of other things that are legal and necessary. But the left-wing view, always and forever, is that if there is an evil person who does something terrible with a gun, all the people who are law-abiding have to have their guns removed from them, which is exactly what Eugene Robinson writes. As mass killers have different profiles and different motives. Most are male, many are young, few are old. By definition, virtually all are struggling with mental health issues of some kind. Happy, well-adjusted people do not kill innocents at random. In all cases, though, the assailants have been able to obtain guns and ammo, usually legally and with ease. California has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, Eugene Robinson notes. The state makes it illegal to possess the kind of weapon used in Monterey Park, a semi-automatic assault pistol with an extended magazine. It is not yet known how the assailant obtained the outlawed gun. It would have been a simple matter to purchase the weapon in a state where it is allowed. The guy broke a bunch of gun laws. Okay, so passing more gun laws ain't going to do it. But again, the idea from California is that we can always solve every single problem with more legislation. And if you look at California's gun laws, they're very restrictive. California already has a so-called assault weapons ban. California already has a red flag law that was enacted in 2016. And that law allows law enforcement, family members, employers, coworkers, and school employees to file a gun violence restraining order against an individual suspected of being a danger to themselves or others. This is according to the California government website. California already has a waiting period of 10 days for all gun purchases. It's one of 9 states and D.C. that have waiting periods. California's waiting period is among the strictest. California already requires background checks on all gun purchases and transfers, including private transfers and sales at gun shows. It is one of 14 states and D.C. that require universal background checks. So basically all of the national legislation that Democrats would pursue already is in place in California, and it is not stopping these sorts of mass shootings from happening. A huge number of them happen in California. But again, the idea in California is that if the policy fails, you just do more of it, which presumably is why you have Governor Gavin Newsom, who obviously wants to run for president of the United States. That is the reason he has been running aggressive ads in Florida. I noticed that California isn't in Florida. Many of us in Florida tried to flee California, but Governor Gavin Newsom seems to be following us there with his ridiculous ads. Well, now he is out there saying that the Second Amendment is a suicide pact.
Nothing about this is surprising. Everything about this is infuriating.
California has the strictest gun laws in the U.S.
I mean, the Second Amendment's becoming a suicide pact.
But there's many people in this country that support the Second Amendment
I support
and are lawful gun owners.
Yeah, I have great respect.
No, you don't. No, you don't, dude. Now, Gavin Newsom obviously wants to run for president. There only happens to be one problem for him, and that is that his policies are not working. They seem to be failing almost across the board. You have a mass homelessness crisis in California. The supposed budget surplus that was supposed to materialize has completely dissipated under Governor Gavin Newsom. By the way, it is amusing to watch as the senator from California, not Gavin Newsom, Alex Padilla, he says the solution here would be more background checks. Again, I noticed universal background checks are the law of the land in the state of California, Senator.
How is it, Senator, that we can stop this from being normal?
Well, there's, clearly a lot that needs to happen. Is it broader education, embracing of diversity, and yes, including smarter gun control laws throughout the United States of America. We did make some progress last year in Congress in strengthening the background checks required for gun purchasers under the age of 21, but clearly, more needs to be done for those that are older than 21, and that's just the purchasing of a gun.
So, Senator Padilla's solutions here involve more diversity training and gun control. It's working great in California, by the way. Both of the last two mass shooters in California are apparently of Asian extraction, which is a rarity and a weird oddity, but it makes it kind of odd to suggest that the solution to this is proper diversity training. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into Mike Pence apparently finding classified documents over in his home. Also, we'll be getting into the New York governor refusing to reinstate those healthcare workers she fired for not getting vaccinated. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.